you have to be in touch with your humanity. So, ikapila gid ko nga kanang sell out bitaw. Ako mo kasuway, I have tried, ako mo kung nasuwayan na IT students, mga eskolar ng bayan. Ang ilang gibasa, mura po masters nga literature. There na kain nga kanang ganahan sila mo IT and then literature kay pawala ko no sa kay kapoy coding. Magbasa sila poetry. So maybe you can sell it that way, sir. This is a way to get out of the coding, to refresh your memory. After all, si Einstein, before he wrote I think, the theory of relativity, he went to work somewhere na kanang trabaho menial and ordinary, just to, I suppose, reboot his mind. Or, we cannot do away with this because American period, you have a set number of poems, you have the writers that belong to that period. But I was thinking maybe the IT students can find a way to code related to their coding. Or many of the IT students, they love also to make videos. I have a lot of file of videos na ilan ang himo nag-film, sir. Short film.
I would like to throw this challenge to all literature teachers. I-analyze na rin yung mayo ka ng kausan na basa ang tubig. Kaya mabuhang mo. In fact, kanak na poem, Second Music by Alan Rabaya, came out as a third prize winner in the first Pop Music Festival. Only one anecdote about this is one of the judges later on, niingon na wag mo kumubutar anak manawat na kadaog. Nga naman, wag mong kasabot sa iyang mensahe. Can you imagine for a judge to describe a certain work na inana? Naman ipa-judge sa mga nitiblikan ko?
Kasi sa musicality na kadaog, no? Okay, these are parts of reality mo po nino, no? Usahay mga question na to, ang kuan, inana. But, tingali, it's outside the concern of the teacher, the classroom. For the most part, it's really letting them get to know and love the works as it is. And sometimes it has something to do with really getting to know your students. Unsa ilang ganahan. I was just lucky I got these kids here right now. So tinaginap ko sa nangutanang ko nila, are you the kind of students who like to present? O what's learning no na yun? Which means yes, me. Ito, didn't you that of no one? Wala man. Naikuha, meaning, gusto. Di ako kabalingkod. So, getting to know, the character of your students. Motto na, my IT student, akong experience with IT students, they really love to do videos. They have the phone lang good nila and edit them. Ala, sige, anak ko kayo gusto. Usahay mo anak pag ganina, can we do this way? Can we do this way? And that's an indication they are interested. Okay. I think, anas na ko, itutong na po. So we stop here for now. And so we take our
Thank you. Okay, before that, we will be awarding a certificate for Miss Gabales, and I'd like to call it Mr. Rafi Polinar and Nino Loyola. The award is, and Sir DJ for the awarding. She was born in Quezon City but grew up in Talisay City, Cebu. She graduated with a Bachelor of Arts degree in English Literature and took up her Master's degree in Literature from Cebu Normal University. She is a faculty member under the Department of Communications, Linguistics, and Literature at the University of San Carlos. And at present, she is finishing her PhD in English Literature at this university under the scholarship grant of CHED's K-12 Transition Program. She is also an active member of Women in Literary Arts, Cebu Incorporated, And as a writer, her stories and poems have appeared in Bisaya magazine. I am pleased to welcome Miss Leanne Jane Haney Round of applause.
Maayong hapon kanatong tanan. Are we all from Cebu City? Region 7. Bisaya ang tanan. Makasabot kita og Binisayang pinulungan. Hopefully, because we'll be reading and discussing a Cebuano stories later. Makasabot ra. I have a translation of the two stories, but I will give later, but not during the discussion. Because benefit ang purpose sa teaching Cebuano literature, di ba? Kung di nato gayran, I'll be doing, after my short lecture of the post-World War II Cebuano literature, short lang yun siya. I'll proceed with the demo of the two stories. So, anda ba tayo mabasa? Yes, di kita magtulog-tulog ha, because we have two stories of our great writer, Marcel Navarra, from post-war. Okay, magsugod na ta? Ayaw, watod sa nato si Sir Lin yung distribute. Anyway, I can give, yes, a soft copy if mahugdan. So, kumusta so far inyong say? Yes, pagpaminaw. O pata na apura, napurga sa mga informasyon, nabusog na banta, nabusog na ito kasing-kasing, atong huna-huna, hopefully nabusog lang, wala na napurga. Diba? I'll be discussing a point, yes, lisod ni siya, nga parte period sa atong katitikan. It's because quite boring and it quite challenging. It's quite challenging for teachers to teach this. So, sa ato apod, nalayo na, we're very detached of our grounding. Dili na gani kasabot of Bisaya, mga laglo, naman ko yung mga alis here. So, in terms of unlocking of the terms, na ko yung mga alis here. So, makasabot ni sila, napay natawag dire jury. Wala man siguro, di ba? Natawag jury after. After, yes, but during Japanese time, wala na. Okay, ayun pa klaro sika, dahil isa. Okay, after ka, ma'am. Okay, my discussion is post-World War II Cebuano literature. I'll be discussing characteristics. So some social-historical, political, yes, realities that affected our literature, our katitikan. We have characteristics of the writings of the period, and also writers from different genres, from poetry to short story to drama. So let me start. Okay, the war years, that's between 1942 to 1945, were interruption to the history of Cebuano literature. Why? Because there were no publication outlets aside from Visayan Shimbun, which is a Japanese controlled publication. Very ironic because if we translate Visayan Shimbun, the translation is Philippine Independence. But this publication is written in English. Imagine, just controlled by Japanese men. So that was only the outlet, plus the small, we have irregular, clandestine, guerrilla publications. So maura na siya. And we know the importance of publication. We have press. Unsa may connection sa press, Cebuano press, to our literature. Nga, no, very dependent man atong literature with our Cebuano press. If there's no publication, there's no outlets, mo-decline din ato ang literature. Why? Yes? Was it discussed? Yes? Ganina buntag, di ba? The golden period of literature, nga no? Because mostly of our literature first appeared in these publications, di ba? Press. Kung wala ni sila, they don't have, they have few only book forms, literature. But mostly, ang isaligan na sa itong mga writers, ato ang Cebuano publication. So kung during the war, controlled, but there was only one, and there were few by guerrilla men, so what do you expect of our literature? And aside, of course, the pressing realities during the war, what do you expect? It did not give, of course, a fostering environment for our writers to write. So expected, medyo halted ang ato ang literature during the time. Okay. Work provided well material for breeding writers. So mauna rin minakuha, we were ravished but physically and morally. But our writers, they were given, of course, wealth, for material, especially for breeding writers. So with the end of war, publishing resumed. So our pre-war writers continued and resumed to writing. So the publishing resumed, but the sad reality is that it entered a new phase in which English was ascendant. Because before the war, American period, we were introduced of English, of course, public educational system. So we have new generation of Filipinos who look up really, of course, with high regard English language. So only ang challenge sa ato ang Cebuano literature during the time though publications press resumed. Okay, there's marginalization of Cebuano writing. Marginalization because of the primacy of the use of English language, plus the dominance of Filipino, the dominance of NCR and its language. So it somehow created a marginalized environment to literature, where in fact it relegated our literature to sa mga natong tanaw karon bakya just a local, regional, or national, right? We are naman siya, sorry. Okay, associated with what was popular and vulgar. Because of the feeling of mostly literatures during the time appeared in press with these magazines, di ba? Do you have this feeling until now? Yes? You find, ubus na bakya. Batik, di ba? Inaraan. Especially if igawas with this, we only have Bisaya now. And if you're published, it's different environment now. If before, especially during, after post-war, after the war, they find it vulgar and popular. Now, we only have one Bisaya outlet. And stories kung in Palangka appeared in Bisaya. And mostly writers, prominent writers, notable writers, established writers, yes, ang ilahang mga suwat ang gawas sa Bisaya. And it's totally different yun sa atukang mga sinuwatan before. Nga siguro, nasa iniso ng mga tao na nakaingon sila bakya. Diba bakya mga sinuwatan and very vulgar and just popular for the mainstream. But karon, have you read stories, poems? And wala. Yes, ma'am. When was the last time you read Cebuano? Cebuano story. Katong dili siya reading list ha in school. Are you aware of the circulation of Bisaya now? Yes. Sorry, hindi ako ni-promote kay contributor ko Bisaya, but that's the reality. We don't have much outlets now. Good, we have Bisaya. Yes, nakabasa ka, ma'am? Oh, yeah, since 1930. And during war, nag-stop po siya, and then nag-resume siya 1946, and until now at the present. So, daghan kaayong mga publications and magazines na nawala na, mag-survive na lang ang Bisaya. At first, for commercialization, just to fit, of course, the pleasures, entertainment, purely, no literary value. But with today, try to read it. Asa may makapalit? Naran na siya sa National Bookstore. Yes, nasa newsstand. And our libraries have subscription, online subscription, and hopefully na subscription ninyong library ha. Hindi na ulat na problema o resources if we're updated, we're keeping track of mga na-publish in Bisaya. I tell you, every year, you're familiar of very prestigious award-giving body in the Philippines. Palangka Award, di ba? And there's Cebuano category. O naa. So dito naman guys, every December, ang winning pieces of the year. Every December, dyan na siya. Ang tulo, first prize, second prize, and third prize. Dito na siya magawas. So, na nga ito ang resources. Diba? With ang poetry po na apod. Okay, let me proceed. Okay, for the characteristics of the literature after the war, it's less sentimental and more realistic plus experimental. So, pre-war, very sentimental, di ba? Puro gugma-gugma, mga kabuhagay sa pagbati, di ba? Usual ba? Then mag-prosa tayo, mag-black-black, di ba? That's how we regard our literature. That was pre-war, and it continued after the war. But, yes, they explored two different styles and techniques borrowed from foreign. That's why experimental na nga ito ang post-war writers. Please. Okay, publishing companies based in Manila that resumed after the war. We have Bisaya, continued until now, Alinion until 1963 only. We have Silao until 1964. With a very notable Bagong Suga, because Bagong Suga is based, the only Cebu base nga magazine. Oh, that's until 1971. Okay, that's for our, what's this? A little history. Let me continue by saying that there's, do you know that Cebuano movies appeared as early as 1920s? Wala! Nakakita pa ta movies? Wala na sa planet ko. Yes, and it stopped, yes, 1970s, 1960s to 1970s. Nakabot ka, sir. Oh, that's why you had literature and cinema had a symbiotic relationship because they borrowed each other's material. From plot, from characterization, from story materials, baro na siya, adapt na siya to cinema. At the same time, of course, the cinema borrowed the narrative techniques of literature. That's why you had the symbiotic relationship, and that was in the peak of 1950s and 1960s. Okay, radio plays became popular after the decline of cinema. Nga nung ni-decline ng cinema? And they're the one who influenced or brought that entertainment aside. But how come it survived in the central Manila? Yes, they're more funded, more focused. Yes, it's true to our cinema. They are the central, they're more focused, funded. Yes, mo na continue, and then it stops sa atua. Plus, naabot pa dyan ang radio, in which it provided also, of course, literature provided materials to radio plays, di ba? Nakabuta na. Yung karon, saan naman to radio plays? Kapit na po. Andumana na lang. 50N. Okay na pagyapon, but not so much mafilor or embrace, di ba? Plus pag yun, of course, with the development of our mass media now, social media, wala, nalubong na yun yung tao. Okay, it was after the war when there was cross-fertilization between Cebuano and English writing. As I said, the primacy of English language continued after the war. So what do you expect? There were new breeds of writers who look up, diba, English as mas nito tayo suwat, mas class ka kung writer ka in English, diba? That's why bilingual writers, there were bilingual writers. There were those who write in Cebuano, at the same time, write in English. So it was a time, so after the war. So various writers group were organized later after the war. When Ludabi was established, when, sir? When was Ludabi? You know Ludabi, sir? Are you a member of Ludabi? Wow. What's the name of Ludabi, sir? Okay, Lupas sa Dagang Bisaya. Unsa na siya? I don't know, it's an Bathalad is an option of Ludabi. And it's true, is it true? Let me interview you, sir, na mga rebellious ko lang ng mga writers, those who very rigid kung ko na pinaagi sa Ludabi. That's why writers, medyo sila kauyon, mga very rigid ang use of language, plus the techniques. Dili ka pwede mo explore with different styles, and they find themselves na-contain na with a box. That's why they revolted and they form another group. Bathalad. Sakto, sir? Oh, sakto. What is Lupas sa Dagang Bisaya?